Hi, I'm Linda. So glad to have you back. Today I did something totally different. It's an old steam engine of number 9 locomotive with some billowing cloud smokes above it here, kind of a nighttime scene with some trees on the sides, and putting the train in was easy. I'll show you how. The highlighted tracks and the rocks down here. I think you're going to love painting this one. So get your paints out, follow me. So let's get started. And here's the list of supplies and paints I used. One small piece of clear mylar, piece of carbon paper, acrylic paints were white, black, gold metallic, made by Deco Art, oil paints white, black, Prussian blue, alizarin crimson, Van Dyke brown, yellow ochre, cad yellow, and red. And you can see that I have traced out a train about 3 inches, 3.5 inches in length there with a black magic marker, and I put the carbon paper underneath and traced out that train, and there it is. And I actually put the train just below the halfway mark, and then put a line across for like the land horizon line there, and then over the angles of the stones you'll see. And I'm going to show you how to make the stones, and it's made with acrylic black with a small filbert, and just doing kind of flat here and there rocks, bigger in the bottom there, and as I work my way back they're going to be a little smaller. So I'm going to skip ahead a little now and then because this took me probably a good 20 minutes to make these flat rocks. But I just kept going fairly straight, kind of not real crooked, but just keeping them pretty straight. And where you put that line there, right where the train is starting to come on the tracks, or it is on the tracks, just make the rocks go along that line, smaller by the train, and then as you work your way down the canvas they're a little bit bigger. But they're flat rocks that you see on train tracks a lot of times. You'll find soapstone on the tracks, which is kind of neat. Well, here we go, and I'm got it more the canvas at an angle so you can kind of see how I'm doing those strokes. I'm keeping a fairly not straight line, but here and there they're sporadic, but like I said, they're a little larger at the bottom of the canvas, leaving a lot of the white areas because those are going to show up really nice later on. So I'm just about finished. Now I'm going to take this train and I'm going to etch, right now I'm using a gray, black, and white, but you know what? At the end of my video, I went back and I made the train really dark, almost black, the main part black. I did some lighter grays to give it a little dimension and some of the details in the train. But I wanted to make sure the smokestack was right, and just a general outline. And of course the very front of that train, you'll see they look like stripes, but they're actually part of the I don't know if it's a plow or it's just part of the front of the train. I wanted that dark with light gray highlights, but not totally light the way you'll see it here. So I'm taking some liquid white, and I'm going to go all the way down, but not on the train. I'm just going to go around the train, and I'll go right onto those rocks. But it'll be a very light coat. You don't have to put that on very thick. In fact, I'm going to take a blue shop towel there, and I'm going to wipe a lot of that off. But I just wanted to get a little bit of a slippery surface there for the blue that's going to go on next. So yes, I'm wiping it off. See, there's a lot of that white coming off. You don't need a lot of liquid white. The only reason I put it down there is to make the surface a little slippery so the paint goes on nice. So I'm wiping a lot of that off of those stones. Now I'm going into Prussian blue with a little bit of black and maybe a touch of alizarin crimson. But I'm going to make this sky super, super dark because it is kind of a nighttime evening scene, and I want it dark. So I'm going to leave the left corner there. I'm going to leave that part of that open because that's going to be more of an open, billowy smoke is going to be on that side corner. So I'm going to go down pretty solid all the way. I'm looking at the train picture as I'm painting, so I'm looking away, but so I'm working my way down. I'm going to go, not going to go totally right up next to that train. I'm going to leave a little white area around that. So I'm going to have some bushes and things right there, but I'm not going to go real heavy down below. I'm doing the sides, just lightly go across those rocks, because a lot of that's going to be wiped off, so the rocks will be exposed. So yeah, that's just, and then take a shop towel, that blue shop towel, that works wonders. Take a lot of that, rub a lot of that off, especially on the rocks there. Just push it off, and you'll see those rocks poke through. And the little white rocks, those white areas, we'll make them more visible a little bit later. So now I'm going into a little bit of white on fan brush. I'm going to pull some of that blue just a little bit over, just to make some little, because that blue is very strong, and you can pick up some of that on your brush and it'll turn kind of a pretty powder blue, and you can add a little more if you want, just to give it I guess a smoky look there. See how I'm bringing some of that blue in, and just do circular motions and just work your way down, and not real dark down as we go down, because I'm going to have some trees in there. Little foliage. So I'm just going to keep that fairly medium to light, and then blend that in with that dark right at the horizon, or where the ground there is. Just kind of, yeah, just use your brush and soften it up. I'm going to add a little blue right there on the end. That's where there's going to be some heavier foliage. But with all that white down, it'll get muted real fast. It'll fade out. And that little white streak in there in the middle, I'm going to make that pretty much blue. I wasn't sure how far over I should go there. Okay, so I'm going to put some white on the fan brush and bring in a little bit of that blue that's there alongside of the train, and just create some billowy smoke, I guess. Steam smoke. And just carefully go up and around the train. You see the train is so light right now, but like I told you, I at the end here, I made that pretty solid black with some light gray highlights here and there for some of the details. But it almost looks brown there. But I knew it wasn't right. I couldn't change it though, at least not now. So I'm putting shop rag right over that area, and so that it'll soak up some oil. So what I did was I started out with a cloud there, and you see it's real muted. Well, you know what? I didn't like it, so I wiped a lot of that off. I just took a shop towel and wiped a lot off. But you can kind of still see where it was. So I'm redoing it, and I want you to see how I'm going to correct this. So I'm taking a pretty good sized fan brush, I believe it's a number 12, and I'm going to make some larger billowy, just like making clouds, but it's going to be the smoky clouds. I'm going to leave a lot of those dark areas in there, so I'm just going to start making a line, and then I'll take a clean, dry, another big brush, and just buff out the bottom, and just fade that in. Gradually pull some of that blue up in there. And just do circular motions. Just blend as much as you can there. Leave some of that dark in there. And tap your brush every time you come off of that white, because there's a lot of blue will come off onto your brush, and you want to keep it pretty white up there, white clouds. So I'm making some big ones. I'm just doing little circular motions, creating that top row of smoke, and just creating some more just underneath, leaving some of that those dark areas. Yeah, I learned from the last time. I just I don't know, it just didn't turn out very good, so I wasn't happy with it. So now I'm doing it again, and it looks a lot nicer. I think I probably hurried through it too fast. Just take your time, take lots of breaks, get up, stand back, and just look at it. Just visualize how that smoke is puffing straight up and around that in the sky from that train. The left side is going to be a little bit darker, and same with right above the train stack. It's a really dark puff of smoke coming out of there. I'm going to leave a lot of that alone. You can see where I put some of that dark up there. I made like a tornado effect coming out of that smokestack. Okay, so in the meantime, I'm just going around. I'm just keeping that shape. Making sure I have a clean brush every time. I start in with the white after I've buffed out the bottom part, and then create another layer. And after a bit, you can go back in there, and you can actually put in some darker areas if you think it's too light, you know. And I think that I ended up doing a little bit of that. I think the harder you push on that fan brush, you'll pick up more of the blue underneath, and so you do create an extra billowy look, I guess. And when I take a break, I take some shop towel that I've divided 4 ways, a nice big shop towel, and I just lay it right over the top of a mass of clouds. It sucks up the oil. It really helps when you want to smooth it out and buff it. And it looks, picks up all that extra paint. I know I had an awful lot of blue down there on that canvas. So yeah, I took a break, came back, I pulled it off, and you'll see see all that paint? It really helps to see how the clouds look? They look a little more softer. And then you can take a really, really soft brush and just gently buff underneath those a little bit. So I'm just working my shapes, getting some of those dark areas back in there. I don't want to have any two that look the same. I want it to look fairly natural. So if there's any straight lines or weird lines, you want to kind of buff them out. And adding a little white here and there, trying to get that curve. Now see that little tornado tunnel there that looks like it's coming out of the smokestack? That is important to keep that shape right there. And as it gets smaller, as I come down to the train, little smaller circles. Because the big ones on top, you want them big. Taking clean dry, just pulling some of that white down, creating some really nice looking clouds underneath that. Keeping that line as if it's shooting up out of that smokestack. I went into some Prussian blue. I'm adding some darker areas right around that smokestack there. I wanted a little bit darker there. I'm just putting down the paint, and then after a bit I'll take a clean dry brush and just buff that out. Buff it in, work it into the other colors. So you need to have the dark. Without the dark, there is no light. Okay, so now I'm buffing. I'm pushing that little brush right in there, just smoothing that out. I'm not going too much into the white. I don't want to destroy that white area. And then I will add a little more white in there after I buffed out these darker areas. There, I'm taking a little bit of white on my fan brush, just little tiny little strokes, kind of curving around there, shaping that little funnel. Sporadic. You don't want them exactly the same, but you want. There, see how that's looking a little bit better now. A little darker, and as it goes up it gets lighter. Okay, I'm working on the left side there. Just putting in some smaller clouds. Like I say, I had to get up and stand back quite a few times. It was that's what you gotta do. So now I'm taking a little white on a fan brush and I'm just creating, it's gonna be like a highlight on the right side of that smoke. Alright, so now I take on a really small little script liner brush, and I'm making some tiny little branches, little trees. I'm going to go all the way to the left there, up, just putting in some little trees there. And your paint, your black, has to be quite thin. Not quite like ink, but it's very thin, and then it'll flow on there really nice. Putting some larger trees that go up. Tapping in. Got a little blue and black. I think I'm going to be tapping in some trees. I don't know if it's winter time or summer. I really don't know, but there are some leaves on there. So you want to tap some of that in. And same with the other side. Going to tap in some brush. But it's real dark. I mean, you don't have to be real exact, but there are trees and bushes on that side of the tracks. It's just so dark. So now I went into black and Van Dyke brown. I'm gonna put in some branches that kind of hang over on the right there. You can't really see the tree trunk, but there's a big one there right off the canvas, make believe, and the little tree limbs are reaching out into that cloud of smoke. Gives the illusion of lots of trees there. Alright, so now I'm putting in my train track. I've got straight black. I'm just etching a line where I think the track will go. And if it's not right, you can just buff it out and try it and keep trying until you get the right angle and the right shape. Just make that line where you think the train tracks are, and just make it come forward and just angle around. And taking a little black there and pulling down along the side of the tracks, left side, and adding a little black in the center of the track too. And the inside there on the right, just make it a little heavier. Okay, now I'm making, it's, I don't know, it's kind of, I don't know, it's like leaves. I'm making a leafy area in that little triangular corner there. Tapped in a little yellow ochre and some red. I'm just tapping a little color there. And then over the top of that, it could be stones and twigs and stuff. I'm just tapping in there a little Van Dyke brown, kind of mute it out a little bit. And then I've got some Van Dyke brown. I'm going to bring the edge of that into the stone area just a little bit. Just make it kind of uneven. And some darker lines in the rocks, just here and there. And on the other side, I'm creating some more dark Van Dyke brown. and just a touch of alizarin crimson, just a little bit. I'm going to put some bushes over there too. The fan brush, tapping, adding some grassies, going in with a little bit of yellow ochre, lifting up. I'm putting some little grafty areas in there. Pushing up with my fan brush. So now I've got a Q-tip, which I've dipped into a little bit of thinner, tapped it out on a towel, and you're going to go in and rub some of that paint off where the white stones are. That will make them really pop. Just rub the white ones so the paint is off of them. Isn't that cool how they just show right up? It looks like the light is showing on them. And leave the dark ones in place. So now I'm going into a little bit of yellow. And I'm going to highlight that track with a nice long script liner brush, slowly coming around that track. Make sure the paint is thin enough, because if it's thick it isn't going to really stick very well. You want it to flow really nice. And just pull it down right on top of that black that you put in there, that track. Same with the other side. I think I adjusted that one a little bit. I thought it was off. And I just put smudged a little black on there. But it's such an easy fix if you mess up. And then you just curve around where you think the track will go. All the way, like it's going right off the page, right off the canvas. I'm going into a little red now, and it's pretty thin. I got some thinner on some red, and I'm going to go right over the top of those tracks, just to give it a cool highlight. And then after I made that train black, boy did that ever change it then. It made it look really cool. I think I've got an almost have a finished painting here. I really love doing this one, and I hope you do too. So until next time, happy painting, and God bless.